Good morning. How are y'all doing today? We can do better than that. How are y'all doing today? We're up early. We're all together. And if y'all don't talk back at me, this is going to be a long presentation for y'all. So I encourage it. I encourage it. Well, I almost had pretty slides for y'all. But then it became stressful. So I will be referring to the notes on my phone from time to time. Please forgive me. When you think diplomacy, what do you think? Talking to each other. Negotiating. Problem solving. That's because y'all are more advanced than me. When I think of diplomacy, I think about diplomats, ambassadors, backroom deals, things that happen that I never get to hear about, like, oh, they're engaging in diplomacy. And what does that mean? But music, I understand the whole world through music. Music is the ultimate diplomat because it crosses borders and it crosses language barriers and it crosses a bunch of boundaries and it connects us all. It bridges this gap. And I think that's the real role of diplomacy, to build a bridge and to help us find that humanity that we all share. So, music has this unique ability to unite us through story and through struggle and through sound and allow us to feel like we're not alone and that there's a shared experience happening, even with someone the other side of the world. And that's our business at Rhymesayers. So we leaned into that and we said, if music can do all that, what else can it do? It can help people. It can heal people. It can educate people. Can it also prevent harm? So we had to think about that for a while. And first of all, who here is like a hip hop fan? When you think hip hop, who do you think? What do you think? Classic. Who else? Run DMC. I saw more hands than this go up. What do y'all think? Nas. So a lot of times people think like Nas, K-Dot, Biggie, Rakim. They think New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta. All. There's no wrong answers when you think hip hop. But you might not be a hip hop fan. And I'll be honest with you, when I was in middle school and in high school, I had a very difficult time. I'm sorry, because I just looked and I was like, it is a 930 Club t-shirt. I had a hard time connecting with hip hop. I had a hard time seeing myself in it. I was in high school, it was a lot of Snoop, a lot of Biggie, a lot of money, a lot of sex. I was young and broke, and I had a hard time seeing who I wanted to even become anywhere in hip hop. And it changed for me. 2 albums changed it. One was Resurrection by an artist that you may know as Common, but he used to be known as Common Sense, from Chicago, produced by the legendary producer No ID. I got to meet him when I was turned like 40, and I fanned out. I was like, oh my God. But the other was this project that had this song on it called God Loves Ugly. And it was by Absolutely. And it was by Atmosphere. It was an act on Rhymesayers. It changed my life. That song changed my life because it wasn't shiny. They, like myself, from Minnesota. And he was talking about being broke and being messy and not having his shit together and riding the bus, driving his mom's Ford. He was so honest. He was brutally honest. And then all those things that I saw as weaknesses in myself became things that he turned into strengths. there was just a strength in his truth. And it sparked a love of me. It helped me find myself in hip hop. It sparked a love in me that years later caused me to write a song with my co-conspirator Lupe Fiasco called Hip Hop Saved My Life, because in very many ways it did. So, referring to the notes, as promised. Oh yeah, now it's more than 15 years after that. And I find myself the director of people and social responsibility for Atmosphere's label. And I find Sean Slug, the rapper in Atmosphere, to be a dear friend. So as he has changed my life, I hope I continue to pour into what they've been building and creating over there. You really know that. You really know that music. People and social responsibility, what does it mean? What does it mean for us to do business responsibly? And it doesn't mean we're perfect. It means that we continue to listen, grow, change, be responsive as opposed to reactive. When we started doing this work, when I started working with them in this capacity, because I was initially signed to Rhyme Sayers, when I started working with them in this capacity, I was like, no one knows what y'all do. And they were like, we do lots of stuff. And they had so many receipts, but they never told anybody what they did. They were like, we just, we live our raps. I was like, yeah, but you only rap like the part of your lives that make you seem like a mess, a very emotionally aware mess, very politically aware mess. But they actually did a lot of stuff. They just didn't share it. So when we became intentional about this, it's like, what do we do? What's ours? What's on our side of the street? And we had to figure it out. We had to talk to each other. And we did not become a nonprofit. There's a lot of pressure on businesses to take the position of a nonprofit. And I get it, because businesses have money and the world needs to change and money helps drive change and all these things. But we didn't do that. We're not a nonprofit. The world needs businesses. They need socially responsible businesses to give money to nonprofits. You never know when the government might just stop doing that. So we leaned into that. For us, we were like, where do we begin? Well, our mission I do know this, but I skipped a part, and I was like, how important is this part that I skipped? Our mission is to help artists have sustainable careers. We only sign artists that we believe in, and we want those artists to go on to change the world about art. We want them to pour into people so that they can have moments, not just like the moment I had, but many, many people write in like, this changed my life, but this saved my life. And we need artists to do that, so we're happy to do that. It's very aspirational. It's very aspirational, our mission. And be like, hey, great art is about universal truth. It's about connecting us all. But then you come back to the reality of running a business. There's contracts to negotiate, and there's lights to keep on, and there's people who need to send their kids to school and to the doctor and responsible for all that. And I have a good friend in the industry who said, music business is the ugliest business he knows, because it takes something pure, like self-expression, like universal truth, and it just works to commodify it. It's true. It's true. I've seen that side of the business firsthand. Rhymesayers is my third record deal. I was signed to Columbia and then a subsidiary of Universal, and I swore I would never sign another record label unless it was Rhymesayers. You're about to find out why. But to be completely honest, what we do is not different. We commodify art. It's how we do it. I can only speak from my firsthand experience of 20 plus years in the music industry to say the intention is different. You can do whatever you want. It's how you do it. And for us, since our mission is for artists to have sustainable careers, it starts with our artist partners. This time is not long enough to go into the intricacies of the music business, but I'll say that all our artists have 50-50 artist partner splits. And what that means is that unlike most record labels, we don't make money unless our artists make money. Period. Talk about our staff. Our staff get all the things. They work hard, but they get all the things. We get 200 hours, yes, 5 weeks of PTO, and then another 20 days of just built-in like staff holidays that include wonderful things like winter break and fall break and Indigenous People Day and Juneteenth. We pay for everybody's health, dental, vision. Everybody works remote and flex time. We offer parental leave, not just for biological and birth parents, but also adoptive parents, and also those engaging with the foster care system, which, importantly, if you are in a position where you are, to add 3 little words to your HR policy on parental leave that just includes young people in need of foster homes. Those 3 little words can give somebody a forever home and family, and that benefits all of us because we are all connected. Now, talk about our artists, talk about our staff. Oh, I forgot to ask. I can tell the answer to some of y'all, but who here has heard of Rhymesayers before this symposium? And when you think Rhymesayers, what do you think? Atmosphere. Aesop Rock. You know, you prove my point, because when I was trying to put my friends in Pittsburgh and New York onto Rhymesayers like 20 years ago, they're all like, ain't that white boy label in Minnesota? This is my point. If you don't tell your story, other people will tell it for you. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to tell you that Rhymesayers was founded and is still CEO, is Sadiq Sayers, who is a black man. We have signed more artists of color than we've signed white artists. And that people think behind, you pull back the curtain and there's a bunch of white boys in hoodies like running everything, and there's some. But there's white girls in hoodies, and there are black people and brown people and queer people in hoodies. There's people of every generation, and as I was preparing for today, I realized that the through line of our staff is really hoodies. But that's our artists. That's our staff. What about everyone else? How can we be responsible in how we move through this world? And in the interest of time, and y'all have been very generous with yours, I am going to tell you one story. It's about this woman named Morgan Godwin. Morgan is a big Rhymesayers fan. She's an especially big fan of this foundational act of ours called Idea and Ability. And it's I, like EYE, idea and abilities. Now, Idea, Mikey, he's no longer with us. He passed away in 2010. But before that, he created such a wealth of music that deeply, deeply touched people. He was brilliant and poetic. And Morgan, as she was struggling with opioid addiction would listen to idea, and she's told me about this many times. Just gave her strength, made her not feel alone, made her feel understood, and her substance abuse disorder eventually led her to prison, and that sucked. And she came out of prison, and she did not just get back on her feet. She hit the pavement. She cold DM'd Slug, AKA Sean, on Instagram, and he's the rapper in Atmosphere. It was like, yo, can I give away Narcan at your shows? That's one of the things that's different about our artists. Is we're in our DMs. And Sean was like, people don't know this about Sean. He has big dad energy. He was like, what is it? Is it safe? Where are you getting it from? How are you going to get there? What do I have to do? He asked a million questions, and she answered all of them. She really knew what she was doing. And so he was like, okay, yeah, come do it. And he cleared a path for her to give away Narcan at all these shows. Now, she'd just come out of prison, legit felon, no money, no job, didn't ask for a budget, built a coalition, and just started popping up at shows all over the country with friends and boxes of Narcan. And I found out about this towards the end of 2021. She'd been doing it all of 2021, and that December, Sean called me. He told me about it. I was like, let me look into it, because I'm the skeptic. And I was like, oh, these overdose numbers, this fentanyl pollution of the drug supply, these underserved communities. Yeah, that was the pause to say, like, what does it mean to be responsible in this moment for us? So as a business, what do we got? We're a record label. We got a live events department. We've got some management. We got a creative team. We got a marketing team. So I'll tell you what we did. Our creative team totally rebranded Morgan's small nonprofit called Beats Overdose. And looked official. We put together a promotional video that they could take and play to get into more places. We leveraged our position to request nicely as possible that every venue and promoter on the tour for the next 2 years open the doors and let Morgan in. Because sometimes that's the responsible thing you can do. You can open the door. We definitely don't need, I've had so many nonprofit leaders tell me, like, please don't start a nonprofit. And there's, most of the time, the issue that you want to work on, there's somebody who is an expert in living that life that you could pour into and you could provide access to. Man, she did such great work. We went on and trained all the staff of all the venues associated with First Ave, which is an iconic Minnesota. You've seen Purple Rain. But they have maybe like 7 venues now. So we trained their staff, and then we went on to train the National Independent Venue Foundation staff. And as Morgan continued to work in these spaces, she was training other people to do that work. And now this is happening all over the country. It's happening at big festivals. She was one of the first 2 people in the country doing it. Now it's at Lollapalooza, it's at Bonnaroo, it's at Coachella, it's all over the place. Needs to be at Rolling Loud maybe this year. So, it's a very heartwarming story. But for us as a business, we have these things called OKRs, Objective Key Results. So let me share some of them. In 2024, the opioid overdose rate went down for the first time since 2019, and it went down by 20+%. We're a drop in that bucket, but we're present and accounted for in that bucket. Over the past 3 years, 4 years now, working with Morgan, we've gotten more than $2 million worth of free overdose reversal and prevention resources to music fans at festivals and shows everywhere. Morgan, who I'm super proud of, who is a dear friend now, is getting her doctorate in public health. She's killing it. Look her up. She's brilliant. You'll watch, you'll be like, oh, okay. She proofreads my stuff. And my favorite snippet is that I got this email. It's from a woman named Kim, at a venue in Fresno, California. It said, hey, Nikki, the Narcan that we got from Beats Overdose at the Fresno show last summer just saved someone's life outside our venue last week. What can I do? How can I help? And that's the question for y'all. What can you do? How can you help? From where you are, being who you are, with the tools immediately at your disposal. What's possible? What's your work to do? How can you use your purpose and your passion and your platform to make that change? Who can you cold call? There is no one else to do it. No one is coming to save us. So my challenge and my deep hope is that something you hear today, something you hear from someone up here or from the person next to you or from a song on the radio makes you say, you know what? I could do that. Just a little spark of inspiration. Because you'll never know the ripple effect that your small actions have. Idea when he was alive, writing rhymes, obviously in his hoodie. Sean answering DMs. These promoters taking a chance and saying, yeah, come on and set up. And every person who walked by the booth and said, I'll spend 60 seconds learning what Narcan is and how to use it. All these links in a chain that lead us with a life we can point to saved. And since we're all connected, when you save a life, the life you save is your own. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to challenge you to walk out of here different than you walked in here and to do something. Thank you so much. My name is Nikki Jean, and I look forward to hearing from y'all for the rest of the day.